What is up, everybody? We are here for a quick review of One Piece Film Red. Just saw it the other day and I had a fantastic time watching it. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to give Film Red a 7.5 out of 10. And I give it that ranking based on the 5 movies that I generally hold as the top One Piece movies. I've seen just about every One Piece movie outside of the basically retellings of some arcs. Like I haven't seen the Drum Island movie, even though it has like some different stuff to it. I haven't really watched those, but the ones I mainly rank are Stampede, Gold, Strong World, Z, and then we have Red here. And Red would end up being 4th on that list. Now, that's not to say in any way that Red is a bad movie. Like I said, I enjoyed it a ton. But Red is pretty much a musical. Now, I don't want to say it doesn't have action, I don't want to say it doesn't have plot, but most of Film Red relies on music to carry the story. And it does it really well. You just have to be into that kind of thing. And I personally, I'm not a huge fan of musicals, but as long as the music keeps the story moving forward, I'm fine with it. And that's what happened in Film Red. And I'm not going to go into super details, like this isn't going to be like a spoiler type review here. Just general thoughts on the movie, because I thought that the soundtrack was absolutely fantastic. All of the songs, and I didn't think they'd have so many songs. You know, I know we had heard New Genesis, and we've heard like 1 or 2 songs outside of that. They had quite a few songs in there, and they were all so fitting for whatever mood the movie was in. And they just fit in so well, and they were sung so beautifully. That's definitely a plus for this movie, especially since it's music-centered. You kind of have to do the music right, but they went above and beyond with the music. The animation, you know, everything, that's always up to par, you know, it's really good. There wasn't anything that, you know, stuck out. It wasn't insane animation, and they had some like CGI stuff in there. And that always looks kind of interesting when you incorporate it into like a, you know, basic 2D animation and such. But nothing bad. What I would say about this movie is that it feels a little scattered. You know, I wouldn't say the plot runs smoothly from A to Z. I think it kind of bounces around. And if you're not paying attention, or if you like get distracted by something, you might miss a plot point or two, just because it bounces around pretty frequently. And in a movie like Stampede, where the plot is given to you and it doesn't really change after that, basically, Bullet wants to be the best, he's gonna fight everybody. That's the whole plot of Stampede. So whatever happens in Stampede is not gonna change from that plot. Film Red is a little bit more dynamic in that route, where you start with a portion of the plot in the beginning, and as you go through the movie, things kind of change in a way you might not necessarily expect. Now, I will docket some points because this is a Shanks-centered movie, and I mean, we're not surprised, but Shanks obviously doesn't show up a whole lot in the movie. He shows up way more than I thought he did, and he does way more than I thought he did, which is amazing. But still, for a Shanks movie, he could have been here more. Now, I'd also like to talk about kind of how the movie plays out, because as a shonen movie, and as like a One Piece movie in general, things usually go well. And I'd say things don't go well here, but I will say this isn't a happy movie. Like, just watching it, and some of the things that were happening in this movie, it's kind of depressing, and like, in a good way. I like to see some tragedy. I like to see, you know, people being unhappy, things generally not going the way you want them to, because I think that's more compelling as a story. You know, I don't want to just see them at the end, beat the big bad, and then go home or whatever. And that's honestly how Gold works, and that's why Gold is kind of low on my list, because basically, evil dude, we fight him, we win, we leave. Story done. Like I said, Film Red, way more dynamic and a lot more interesting to follow. And I really like the way it ends. I think the ending is one of the best parts about it. Like, outside of, I'd say, the music and the character cameos, I'd say the ending is really solid. And speaking of character cameos, not as many as we got in Stampede, but just enough to give me that kind of like a fan service feel, where it's like, oh yes, I love those characters, or oh yeah, I'm happy to see those characters again. We see characters we don't expect. We see people interact with other people that we never thought we'd ever be able to see, which I enjoyed. And I think there's some cool interactions. If you go see the movie, you'll be like, oh snap, I never thought so-and-so would be next to so-and-so. And that's always cool to see. Whether it's canon, whether it's, you know, just for a couple of seconds, it's really cool. And of course, with the films that are kind of storyboarded by Oda, some things are real, some things are part of the story, and some things are basically just made for the story. I believe Uta as a character is technically canon, and she's even shown up in the manga, I think. There was a chapter some time ago, like when they were kind of doing the Film Red promo, where Shanks was talking and there was a silhouette of Uta. So she's technically canon in the story. So that's somewhat different, because usually when we have these movies, they're really far separated. Basically, designs are real and designs kind of carry over into the main story, but I can't think of well, I guess Shiki technically counts as a character who started in a movie and then became a canon character. That one's kind of weird because, you know, there's always chapter 0 and that kind of stuff. That part's weird. I would say that Uta is one of the few things that kind of makes it into canon from just being in a movie. All in all, I thought the movie was fantastic. It was definitely enjoyable. I would watch it again. I would get it on Blu-ray. I'm going to get it on Blu-ray. It's definitely up there as far as like the top movies. I like it a lot more than I did Gold. I will say that. And I will say that strongly. Like, I think the only reason Film Red doesn't sit higher is because there was a bit less action, which you would expect from a musical-based movie. You know, there's not as much fighting, which I really love the big One Piece fights. But there was still plenty of fighting in there, so I'm not gonna like harp it down for just being a musical movie. I think it was still really well done. I suggest you guys go see it. Go see it multiple times if you want. I plan to see it multiple times. I thought it was a really fun time. That's all I got. I'll catch you in the next one.